Good day, Lady Amicia.
European history as a whole is a collection of highs and lows over the centuries. The 100 Years' War is certainly marked as a low point. During the 14th and 15th century, you could say it was a tumultuous time. Not content with battles of the crown, national identity, religious conflicts and kingdom control, a little event called the Black Plague added to the challenges our ancestors faced. A pandemic that ravaged Eurasia and Europe, wiping out approximately 50% of its population over the years. Just puts into perspective what hardship can really be. Now this is the backdrop to the story of our French heroine and hero in Amicia and Hugo de Rune, whom we control, lead, follow, learn, endure and grow with throughout the title. Starting within their own estate, it is a bright, warm and fuzzy affair that explains the history and lack of contact these two siblings have had leading up to our introduction.
Everyone is on edge. Some were bitten during the night. Sounds like the English to me.
Okay, I get it. I have bad teeth.
The 5-year-old Hugo has been sick, cared for full-time by their mother and isolated from the family. Amicia's strained relationship with her mother and estranged one with Hugo, it's juxtaposed with a close father bond. Through circumstance they are thrust together in a fight for survival, being compounded by the event of the time and pursued by the Catholic Church's Inquisition. We're never known for their warm welcome. This urgency, danger and weakness offers up a stealth-focused action game over a gung-ho one. It is driven by its narrative, character building, bonding throughout, and sad tales overall. Imagine a buddy road movie with a much darker tone. And vermin.
Oh, rats.
Now many will call this a Last of Us with rats, and this is an easy out. It obviously does share similarities, but like God of War was quickly tagged, it is a high level but unfair link. Similarities arise for sure, keeping Hugo safe, helping each other out within combat and puzzles, growing, learning and being affected by your actions are all part of these three games. But any good game, movie or story is driven by development, empathy and emotion, and Asobo Studios succeed here with a realistic, emotive and dramatic tale that keeps itself rooted, almost, in historic fact and not suspension of too much disbelief. Now I'm a big advocate of history, so this pleases me and I enjoy the refreshing change and European medieval setting such as we had in Kingdom Come. It does have some weaker acting and scripts at points, but by and large the emerging bond they form during gameplay and the wider arc is one of the more relatable I have enjoyed. Using real children for the dialogue helps, as they are far more nuanced and less dramatic than we have seen in other games. It flows, builds and adds enough shocks, moral choice and surprises to keep you playing until the 10+ hour end credits. Now this may be longer if you take more time.
Il y a un mal ancien. Dans le sang de ta famille, dans ton sang. Ta mère et moi avons essayé de freiner ça.
But ever since the Great Break, the process has quickened. You must protect him, Amicia.
Moving into the audio and visual ensemble is another pleasing and mightily impressive offering. For such a relatively small team, the results are worthy of immense praise, as even a first-party studio would be patting themselves on the back. Both PlayStation versions are a sight to behold, with very minor changes between them, which stem almost entirely from resolution. The base model delivers a fixed 1920 by 1080p output alongside a temporal AA element which helps smooth out shimmer, but it can leave many edges untouched at times. Dynamic is always a possibility, but I caught no sign of that, so if it is, it isn't present very often. Now the Pro is somewhat left with a muted upgrade. Hitting the heady heights of a full 4K sounds like a huge boost, which it does, but this is not the whole picture. Literally. Instead, it renders the same 1920 by 1080p resolution as a base buffer and then uses that temporal AA alongside a reconstruction technique to fill in the gaps across 2 or more frames. The jittered sampling of pixels can show up at times in alpha transparencies or post effects, leaving an image that looks better on a 1080p screen, but on a large 4K one, it it's not quite as impressive, although it is still a beautiful and impressive looking game throughout. You can see some examples as I slow it down on the screen here. Now, the strong use of chromatic aberration that covers a good 50% or more of the canvas can intrude on both models, but the sharper Pro output can exacerbate the image distortion and leave a blurred radial image as a result of the soft blur which is also used. Now, I can understand the artistic draw here, but I would drop this effect if it was me, as it can harm the overall stunning art design, materials and beauty of the game. This is my only main gripe with the IQ, as I feel a flat 1440p may have been a better choice than chasing pixel count figures over raw image sharpness. The AA also looks to be of further taps than the base model, and that adds up to a similar level of softness of high frequency details that are abundant throughout the adventure on clothes, materials and objects. Now, the texture assets can at times appear to not load the highest bitmap from time to time. Draw distance, shadow cascade, volumetrics and crepuscular light rays, post effects such as SSR, LOD level and distance are almost a perfect mirror between the two. The increase in alpha effects and post comes from higher output resolutions used over base, which transpires with less noise in SSR or alpha, and hair and dithering is reduced further, if not resolved fully over the base model. The shadow map filtering has a shortest range within the frustum, and this enhances both the resolution and filtering, leaving lovely feathered penumbra edges on both consoles. I see no marked difference here, and it gives us an identical suite of effects by and large, with refinements coming from that boost to resolution and some performance changes covered later.
Monsieur, quoi? Qu'est-ce que j'ai fait? Pourquoi ils me cherchent?
Tu n'as rien fait. Ce sont eux, les coupables.
S'ils nous attrapent, est-ce qu'ils vont nous faire mal?
Ils ne vont pas nous attraper.
With such an equal footing, it could be of concern, but the base model looks gorgeous throughout and really shows off the physically based shading the game employs. You could suspect CryEngine at play here. Instead though, this is all of the team's own work and their very own in-house engine. A powerhouse for sure that adds a robust HDR pipeline to complement those PBR based materials, the mix of bright sunshine, crisp sunsets or dark nights with firelight all enable it to balance the contrast well to accentuate each setting you find yourself in. Skin is pleasingly good with the soft tone and subsurface scattering used in torch and sunlight. All the skin shows a rougher, wrinkled complexion with an equally impressive level of light attenuation. Some of the sequences in the real-time cinematics are almost good enough to pass as pre-rendered CGI, and the exquisite use of light sources and model quality is a key tool within the game's level and cinematic design. It is a bright example of how important and transformative good light art is to a game's appeal, and the lighting artists here are incredibly talented and aware of what looks good and hides any weakness in the assets. Now, you have multiple light sources that can cast shadows, and these are again of high quality with nooks and crannies bending and distorting. The use of light and dark really adds to the atmosphere and the presentation levels. It is a game mechanic with you burning torches, cutting lamps free or setting fire to things, all in the name of survival. Now, some of these moments also bear a cost on others, as light keeps the rats at bay, but this is not always a fair trade. Models themselves are very well crafted with intricate hairstyles, Fresnel that bounces light across the strands, accompanied with highly detailed clothing, armour and eyes, which purvey a great deal of emotion throughout. The biggest drawback from these brilliant skeletal models and facial rigs though is the bone points and animation. No facial capture is used, so mouth sync can be weak and emotion is stifled slightly during certain scenes, but this is a mixture and a minor slight. Largely it is due to the characters themselves being as good as almost any other game this generation, but it is within the movement of them that the smaller budget and team size shows through. Now, this carries over to movement, with motion capture being likely used, with keyframes being the linchpin here. I must stress it is more to do with the simply magnificent quality we have here across a great breadth of actors, locales, buildings that raises your expectations, with animation being very, very good, if not quite up to the same level as the models, materials and lighting.
Well. Where do you think you're going?
My children. is happening? I'll help you up.
I can't. Monsieur, I don't feel well.
What's the matter?
My head.
The macula. He's afraid. We have to get out of here.
Soldiers, there's trouble over here.
Let's get out of here.
We're following them.
There! They're running away!
Hugo! Run!
Amicia! Let go of me!
Now other touches are welcome, such as light bounce from foliage in certain sections, adding a red or green glow on the skin and clothes as you draw near. Equally, volumetric light or hazy fog floats around windows or street lamps, adding yet more diversity and mood to the variety of locales the story takes you on. Excellent use of bokeh sample depth of field, which crops up in gameplay and of a higher quality during the real-time cinematics. These also flow seamlessly from and back into gameplay, with camera FOV shift as they do. This is a worthy piece of praise and really keeps the immersion levels high. The volumetrics look to be geometry based, but not of a voxel construction, or they're sparsely used, which can reduce the obvious signs it can have at lower resolutions. Nothing here looks bad, with incidental objects or extra rooms sharing the same high level of lavish care that makes the whole package feel refined. One of the best looking multi-platform games to date. As traumatic as it can be for all of you, you will get time to admire just what an excellent job the artists have delivered here, with a painting come to life level throughout. It does not disappoint at all, and overall is a remarkable piece of work.
Having fun, are you? I'm sure the Inquisition are too.
Melly, we thought you'd gone.
Come on. We need to talk.
Now, audio is again worthy of praise. Dialogue is well delivered by and large and uses reverb and occlusion in real time to enhance the locations as you chat, run, fight or sneak your way through. You can pick out enemies where they are over the edge of bricks or buildings, or just turn the camera around. You can hear the audio echoing around your head, or a good sound system. Now, some effects can be stronger than others, with the Rat Horde certainly having a strong presence, which is backed up with a haunting and subdued soundtrack, which carries the French setting with sufficient rousing tunes or angelic tones that complement the setting. More of these is the only request I would make, though, as this is a premium quality audio experience, but sound design and execution is yet another high point. Voice acting can be stiff at times, which is expected and almost realistic. Lip sync can be obvious in the English voice, but the native option from the French team works better if not fully resolved, and with subtitles on, it is a much more involving way to play for non-native speakers.
Yes, there are too many rats on my side.
But where can I get through?
The hole behind you. That's the only way I can see. Go through there and I'll meet you on the other side.
Are you sure?
Just stop if you see rats. I'll be with you very quickly.
Alright, but please hurry.
Hugo? Hugo? Tu es où? Oh, Hugo, ça me fait pas rire.
Bouh!
Hugo!
T'as eu peur?
L'Inquisition est ici, Hugo. Tu veux qu'il t'emmène? Ne refais plus jamais ça, tu as compris?
Bon, d'accord.
Ils sont là.
So performance is the last thing to cover before I close out with gameplay, and here it is almost a match again between versions. Loading is one area the Pro does excel over base significantly, with loading from saves or between acts being around 20 to 30% faster. That can be around 8 to 10 to 20 seconds at its worst point faster than the base model, which isn't really a huge difference, but it does add up, and this is comparing a standard hard drive in the Pro and an SSD in the PS4. Both versions target 30 FPS, with them handing in a solid showing across the breadth of play. The PS4 adopts an adaptive VSync, with some mild tearing popping up during dense alpha foliage, volumetric lights and other bandwidth heavier scenes, which can go up and down the screen fully, but these are very, very rare. The Pro holds stable here almost all the time, with an odd dip into 50 milliseconds followed by a later 16 milliseconds, and this can happen in certain sections for the Pro on prolonged periods. Now, this may be a sign of memory constraint or something within the core engine loop, but without this kind of detailed analysis I doubt any would spot it. Occasional drop frames from minor streaming hiccups can also affect the PS4 and the Pro, but by and large you are looking at a locked 30 on Pro and a near as damn it on PS4. I certainly never found any bad prolonged moments, so you will certainly not smell a rat here. Well, not in performance anyway.
No, wait, we're just looking for someone.
And you found him. It's your damn music what brought them out, huh? Those dirty vermin that invaded our church. That filth would attack our children in their beds and gave them the black thing. But now you found Conrad Malfour. And I'm telling you, this is the last village you'll infect.
Amicia!
Come on. Run, Hugo!
What's happening, Amicia?
Just run!
But why are they angry? Are they going to...
Hugo, stay close to me.
Now this carries over to the denser sections and the gameplay itself, which has a few loops that are introduced slowly as the story unfolds and then balanced and mixed up throughout the game. The rats are an ever-present but not constant threat. The fact they can appear at various sections and are a hindrance and a help mixes up your choice for progression. I think bar a few key sections you can stealth past most enemies in the game, with certain beats requiring you to take a moral stance. The engine can push over 5,000 rats on screen at once. These are likely batched into pathfinding, raycasting and combat. On elevated sections with thousands of them on screen, it does give you an uneasy sense of fear. We instinctively have these scuttering beasts. The Horde stutter and crawl is convincing enough to unease you. Up close, the movement and action can show up weaknesses, but they are a successful addition, even if they appear to be the remnants of a game that started with a vampire-like enemy in their place. Performance during the swamped moments never suffers, with it holding solid on both models. The game mechanics uses stealth, rats, light and shadow, AI, companion, puzzles and combat, which offers a wealth of varied moments during the story. On their own, they are good to okay, but never bad. It is the mix of them and the varied pacing that raises the game's level. At times you suspect rats when humans are your enemy, and this can then flip and turn mid-section. Puzzles also use logic, and although they were far easier than I would have liked them to be, they still break up the stealth and offer a pace change throughout the game. I did have a few moments where AI would lock up and checkpoint restarts were needed, and even a ghostly moment with your brother, but these were less than a handful across the entire game.
Keep calm and concentrate.
It is available across Xbox, PC and PlayStation, which is the versions tested here. Innocence is a polished and accomplished story-driven tale that uses the backdrop more as a setting for the characters than a historic tale of accuracy. A refreshing change from gun-based combat that slowly forms bonds between the siblings, the characters you meet, and yourself as you play. Some clumsy story moments and cheaper emotional tugs aside, it succeeds within its aims and looks to have come from a much larger team based on the quality and delivery. Pacing, visuals, audio and variety are its biggest strengths, with the combat, the AI and complexity of puzzles highlighting my only minor niggles. It's a tale of family strife in Raccoon City. Poor joke, but there you go. That's it for now. Anyway, I'm out. I hope you enjoyed this review, and it gave you some information on the PlayStation versions. I'm sure the Xbox and PC versions are very close indeed, but obviously if you are interested, I'm sure it's a safe bet on all of those models as well. If you enjoyed this or anything else that I've put together, please like and share where appropriate. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell if you want to see my latest content available. And obviously, if you are new to the channel, check out all my other great content. I will see you very soon on the next one.
The wheels are stuck in the mud. Leave me alone.
Hugo, listen. About earlier, I just wanted to tell you that I'm...
No, Amicia, come back!
The house has gone dark.
No, no! No, stop!
Lucas, wait!
It's sending time!
Look out! Do something! We have to leave. Now!
Faster.
Hey! Stop! We need you!
The horse!
Time to go! Hugo! Lucas!